Hello folks. The moment you've all been waiting for. Nope. It's just me again. Anyway, so today, thermostat housing change, and I'm going to do as much of a coolant system flush as I can. It shouldn't really need it. I've never seen any sort of dirty water come out of this into the expansion, and as for rusty water and stuff like that, hopefully just draining it will be enough, but I'm an idiot and forgot to buy some sort of flush liquid to clean it all out. So I can always flush it again when it comes to summertime. This is sort of a quick fix. It is quite cold out today. I don't know, 5 degrees, maybe something like that, Celsius. As you can probably tell by the sniffles. If that noise, where is it there, is doing your head in, it's doing mine in too. So we're all in this together. But let's crack on. What have I done with that? So we'll take some piping off. Just ease it off. Nice and easy. Little pop, good sign. Get that pipe out of the way. Actually, let's get all this out of the way. All of it. Quite a bit easy. Get the seals. Oh, we've got water flowing. What is that? I'll tell you what, actually, I want to try and catch some. Might work. And then we'll pump that in there. Look at that. And that's doing that. Brilliant. Today we are topping up with Manol, which I use. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Manol. I use their oil, and I thought, well, I may as well try their antifreeze as well, because to be honest, the oil was brilliant. I've never had a problem with their oil, and they're quite well priced actually. They're surprisingly cheap. I buy in bulk because they've got 5-year shelf life and 5-year use life, so some amount of years. It's handy having a scrap van just sat there, because you can just take stuff off that as spares, test bolt sizes, all of the above. Great. Okay, where are we? Where is that one? Are we loosening or are we tightening? We're tightening that one. Now it is. Now we're going. Let's see if this cracks off and doesn't actually just break off. That'd be good. Oh, is it going? Oh yes, like that. Very good. Right. Come on now, don't you dare drop them there. Warning you. Right, I've just slackened that off. We'll continue trying to get the coolant out if I can. Drain all the coolant if I can. Why are you not going faster? Hurry! Go faster! If I open that, will that allow it back? Yeah. What if I Nah. Oh, it stopped! Oh, that's great. That's even better. Needed changing anyway. Right. No, it's oh no, we're going. If I whip with it, it does things. That's what she said. It's not going how I wanted it to, this. It's taking too much time. Right, we'll get to clamping. Well, de-clamping. Let's get to it. Got one in here. Long grips the way forward, every time. Small grips, vice grips, whatever you want to call them. No. off. Easy. Ow. Come on now. No. They don't have a spring on them though, so you have to open them manually. It's quite annoying. Now we're talking. There we go. Right. Yes. No. Come on now. There we go. Tighten. No. Tighten. No. Tighten. No. Tighten. And we're off. How will we get to that one? Let me just show you what I'm working with here. I don't know how much you're going to see, but the housing is here. My fantastic bottle design. I'm just taking all these pipes off, all these, get rid of the clamps and things, and then I can do my thing. Oh look, if I do that it goes faster. Anyway. Because this coolant that's coming out is lovely and red. The good old mantle going back in, so it'll be lovely and red again. Taking too long. Oh yes, let the coolant out before I go to lie on the floor. That's the best option. Forgot to mention that bit. Solid wood on the kneecaps. Oh, yeah. This is... It's like a spa day. Oh, I bet you can't see me now. I look awful. Ladies and gentlemen, when you do your cooling system jobs, this is what you want to see come out. I mean, it is just clear. I don't know if you can tell properly on the camera, of course. It's really clean coming out of there. I mean, this van cools absolutely brilliantly, so I've got no concerns there, but that is brilliant. Usually there's a bit of rust, a bit of dirt in there, and how red that is, it's obviously been done properly in the past, so that's great news. I'm really impressed with that. I don't need to flush the system, I'm just going to pour this stuff straight in and know that it's clean enough in there to be okay. The van's a 200,000 mile van. If it does another 2 years, I'd be impressed. If it lives till 15, I mean, what is it now? It's a 10 plate. So it's got 3 years maybe. If it lives till 15, I'd be amazed. 200,000+ miles already. It's a rot box, which I need to sort out for the MOT if I'm going to put it through one. I'm only doing this because I've got to replace the parts. So, but no, I'm very impressed by that. That's great news. So now we've got the coolant out, we can get on with stripping the part off and seeing what had failed. Oh, my new one never come with a new bolt. Scabby gits. Fancy not putting a new bolt in? Ah, well. What am I going to say to him? I can't remember what firm I used. But they're scabby gits. Fancy not putting a new bolt in? Jesus. Is this out? Am I turning for nothing? Right. Come on. You go on. Go on, you know you want it. You know that you want it to. It's not as bad as I assumed it would be, actually. It's just cracked. I don't know if you can see, let me have a look here now. I don't know what light's best, but you can see the split running down there. And that's where the bolt holds on. In some ways, I don't know why it was leaking, because the crack isn't actually where the housing sits on the engine, but it's very, very gunky. So I'm assuming someone's put this in. Not only have they over-tightened that and cracked it, but they haven't cleaned the area before they've... it would make sense as well, considering how clean that antifreeze was. So they haven't cleaned the area, they've just shoved it in and away they go. But what's happened there is, again, I don't know if you can see, but the seal, there's like a rubber O-ring, the seal is gone. It's gone flat because it's crushed as it's gone in. So I'm going to clean that up, flush it through, give another quick clean, and then in goes new part. I don't advise doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let me get you in there, see what you can see. So, if that's as clear as I think it is, there's a hole there right into the engine. And the mating surface of that needs to be really clean when the new one goes in, so that the O-ring, which I will show you now, there's it there. So the O-ring that is around there will seat and seal. Because if it doesn't, I'll be doing this again in a couple of weeks' time. And I don't want to do it again. Ever. I don't advise using toilet roll either, because if it breaks up and goes in there, it could clog things. But so, all that black stuff, yeah, that's what's stopping it sealing. Right, just double check, make sure nothing's fallen in there. Actually, I'll get my torch out. If you don't have one of these, they are pretty cheap and they're LED and they're brilliant. I've had the battery in this for 2 years maybe, and they're great. I don't know if you can tell by that, but they're lovely and bright. Got little magnets on the back, you can put double-sided Velcro bits, and yeah, they're good. Just in case you didn't see my other little bit, or I don't add it in and just do a quick bit, when you're buying new parts, check them. Make sure they're okay before you fit them, make a recording of it. You know, we've pretty much all got access to video. And the reason being is because little things like this. So, none of my other Transits have this. There's a metal thing, as you can see, around here. It doesn't go all the way around. Now, that straight away to me makes me think it's going to clamp in correctly. and upon investigation there is a gap there. So just in case that gap isn't sealed, might be absolutely fine. You know, I doubt that they send out parts that are purposely wrong, but just in case that gap doesn't seal, I've made a video now, I've shown it, and yeah, it makes sense. Just in case I forget to mention this as well, if you've done this sort of thing and antifreeze has gone on the floor, stuff like that, just wash it down with some water. Reason being is antifreeze can make animals very, very ill, and it's horrible for them to go through that whole scenario. It's horrible for the owners as well. So obviously we want to avoid that. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that. Little trick is, when you've got good access to a bolt that's usually very difficult, just give it a quick spray with WD-40 or something, put it in, finger tight, finger out, dirty, and then it just, you know that it's going to go in okay, and you know that there's no cross threading, you know the bolt's going to be okay, and it just gives everything a clean, really. This isn't really a common practice as such or needed in a way, but I always like to just put a little bit of dampness. Could be antifreeze, I mean you could probably use a little bit of oil or something, but I've got a little bit of WD on my fingers, just around the seal, so it doesn't kink as it goes in. Same as an oil filter. I got some cheap, very low concentrated coolant just as an emergency thing, in case I needed it. Water is what that is. Literally. So let's just see. Now a little trick. When you're refilling coolant, antifreeze, whatever, is air always rises. So if you want to try and bleed the system while you're doing it, so you haven't got a pressure bleed or anything like that, just get the one corner of the vehicle, whatever, you know, if you've got an expansion bottle, if that's the highest point in the engine bay, just get that up in the air so it's the highest point of the whole coolant system. As you're pouring in, the air will come out. I've done it loads of times, hundreds probably, and I don't think I've ever had to pressure bleed a system. I don't think. So it does work if you get it right and you get the knack of it. It does work, but always go by, if you've got a heater, then usually you bled. I've got someone who uses garages regularly and their car is never working. Ever. I think about 8 times this person's been to a garage. Well, different garages. All diagnosing different things about the same problem. And all they do is they just keep turning codes off. They keep replacing things that don't need replacing. It does my head in. So because this is so clear, I'm going to start filling up with this old stuff, just in case there's a pipe off. I've been an idiot or something. I mean, I know I haven't as such, but you never know. So we're just going to use half of this and then we'll get on to the new stuff. I haven't got a funnel. So this, oh yeah, all over everything but the hole I wanted it to go in. Perfect. That'll do for that. I'll keep that for a rainy day. Now we're going to start the vehicle, get the water pump pumping it. Now there's some in there to pump. Never run it from completely dry. Always make sure you've got some water in there to run from the water through the water pump so that it starts doing a thing. As soon as you've started it, you want to start putting the fresh in. So get the bottles ready. Here we have homemade funnel. Make sure there's no debris in there. Get whatever it was out, you know. You don't really want blackcurrant juice running around your cooling system with little bits of whatever was on the knife that you cut it with. So just get them out of there. Make sure it's nice and clean. Oh, now it's all. Look at this. Excellent. Right, so I've elevated this up so that the air comes up to the top, and then I think I've got all the pipes. I mean, I can't see anything pouring out of anywhere, so I assume I have. I'm just going to test that this will go in there happily before running the engine, because I don't want to be running the water pump dry. By the way, if any of you clever people out there are looking and going, that's the wrong antifreeze for your van, probably is. Don't care. I can't for the life of me figure out why my fans are running. No, I don't get that. Quite a common thing I've had on transits actually is the fans running when you start them up. No reason. Now what? So what we're looking for now is for excessive heat in one area and not in the other. If the engine side of the thermostat goes over 88, I think these are at, then the situation is basically the thermostat's not opening. No good, fan will overheat. If it does open, everything then warms up around the radiator pipes and everything like that, you know that that's working. Your heater is usually the biggest sign of whether you've got the system bled, so always check your, chuck the fan on inside, make sure there's heat coming out the vents. If there's heat coming out the vents, that thermostat opens, usually you're fine. But it's always advisable, take it for a drive, come back, and maybe just try it again. If you're even as much as slightly curious. Now, I've got a car scanner on my phone, cheap OBD port, they're only, I don't know, 20-30 quid. You get the software on your phone, and then, you can just check things, like it says here, engine coolant temperature 32. Well, that's slightly more than it is. I still don't understand why my fans are kicked in, they've never done that before. But I'm monitoring like a normal situation, ignore the fans, and only go by a guide on this. I'm using a thermometer to check either side. So, between it all, hopefully, I'll know what I'm doing. While I'm waiting for this to warm up, we have two great big fans running absolutely flat out. I use manual oil as well. Now I use the correct oils. I'm a bit less worried about antifreeze, but I use the correct oils. This is A5B5, which is the correct one for this van. I've been using this oil from Manil, or however you pronounce it, for, oh, I don't know, a few years. I used to use Comma, I think it was called, and that was good oil, that's fine, but I never used to worry. It was all sort of scrappy, cheap vehicles and stuff like that. When I got these vans, they're doing 1,000 mile a week and stuff like heavy lifting, long uphill drives with a full load on, stuff like that, you know. I decided that I'd start actually caring about what I put in my vehicle and started using this. I've had no problems. In fact, I've probably done about 300,000 miles on this oil between the vans that I've had. And cars. I use it in cars as well because I buy this in bulk. So, yeah, it's good. It does its job very, very well. Let's see how we're getting on with this. Trying to warm up a vehicle in rainy, cold conditions at the same time while I've got two fans running flat for no reason. And it's raining. Lovely. So now I've stopped my fans. Don't know why, by the way. Still haven't a clue why they came on. I just turned it off, turned it back on again. I assume something made the relay click on. I don't know. Anyway, now I've stopped the fans, I'm going to do another assessment of temperature. I've still got my OBD reader running. That's running 67 degrees supposedly. And then this little thing is telling me that the housing that I've just fitted is running at 51. So we're not far away now from the thermostat opening. And then once the thermostat opens, I'd expect probably to see a little bit of water drop, just as it refills a few things up. Not much, but a little bit. And then we've got heaters in the cab, so I know the water's moving pretty well. As soon as I've done that, we should be grand. Finally got it up to temperature. What we're looking for is, as the thermostat opens, it's good to know what temperature it's meant to open at. What we're looking for is to see that before the thermostat temperature and the pipe running into the radiator, for those two temperatures to be very similar. Usually about 20-30 degrees less when the thermostat's closed or open, whichever way around it is. And then it's usually very similar when the thermostat's open and letting the water flow. You should also see a little drop in the water when it opens, which it should have just opened now, so I've just noticed a drop in the water. 58. Yeah. So we're at 58 and we're at 52. So that is open thermostat. The system's blared. I've got heat in the cab. It's not overheating. Yeah, so that's it. It's nice and basic. And it's about to absolutely chuck it down, and it's freezing cold out here, my hands are hurting, so that'll be it for today.